I was born into a life of privilege, of tea parties and luxury. See, that's how it goes when your father is a diplomat serving Queen and country for the British Empire. See, I grew up in many places, Cairo, Kenya, Turkey, Mexico City, and every day I'd walk in the streets, man, and I'd see people who were starving, and they were just pleading for a bit of compassion from the passerbys. We're too caught up in their perceived self-importance to bother with those people, man. You know, I was told not to look and not to feel anything for those people. I could tell these people were held down through the bullshit British bureaucracy, the ignorance and apathy. They were being suffocated by the supposed pinnacle of civilization. But you see, I saw through the bullshit at a very early age, man. I learned to loathe the British Empire and imperialism and the man. Because you see, you're taught that authority is inherently, trying to do good for the people. But I could see from a very early age that authority had no inherent wisdom. It was merely a system of control. You either became a power or you were crushed. And see, you're born into society, man. You're given two options. You can accept the bullshit the establishment throws at you and wants you to believe is true. Or you can, exercise the power of the individual. Think for yourself, not allow yourself to be manipulated. And that's what punk was all about, really. It was about, establishing some accountability for the working class kids in England in a time period where there was so much bullshit going down. London was a slum, man. Pollution, you couldn't even see the sky. Everyone was out of work, everyone was doing drugs, the whole city was a mess. And everybody was too afraid to say anything, too afraid to do anything about it. And that's the movement punk arose out of. It was about trying to get rid of that, the superficiality, the facades, the political correctness that were chaining us down, man, making us subservient to the man. You see, punk was about being yourself in a world of fake, not real. You see, as a boy, my hero, like my friend Bob Dylan, was Woody Guthrie. Because here's a man who, especially in a time of fear-mongering and blindly accepting the American way, wasn't afraid to pick up his guitar and sing about things that he said, like the blindly obvious absurdities in society, everyone else was too brainwashed to realize. You see, here's a man who's not afraid to say, things are wrong and we can do some stuff about it, not just accept the way they are because that's the way it's been and that's how it's always gonna be. You see, you probably know one of his songs, This Land Is Your Land. You probably learned it in elementary school, which is the first step on the assembly line where they started making you robots. But you see, the song, you probably thought was entirely patriotic, entirely pro-American. You probably were inspired with these feelings of patriotism, waved around your little American flags, but that's not what it was, man. The song was about the bullshit industrialists who were taking the land away from the people, using it for consumption and greed and industry. He was talking about going green 50 years before anyone else cared. You see, I saw the immense power of these lyrics and this music, and, I wanted to be Woody Guthrie. I don't have a very good voice, and I'm not very good at guitar, but I've seen the power that can have on influence and thought and, helping people out. I'd like to spread a message, man. Get people thinking about things they otherwise wouldn't. And so you could say, I'm a radical against radicalism. And that seems inherently contradictory, man, but when I look at the world, I see it's torn apart by hate and ignorance and violence and war. And people are doing all these things and that don't want to take any accountability for their actions. It's anybody but our own fault. It's the blacks' fault, the whites' fault, the gays, the Christians, the Muslims, the Jews, the immigrants. Anybody but ourselves, man. You see, I saw this, and I saw how it was dividing the world. So I was tearing it apart, and, these differences are just imaginary. We're all human beings, that's a genetic fact, and you can't change that, and I knew that. But I saw somehow governments all around the world found it justified to spend billions of dollars every year inventing new things they can use to make people explode because they're different than them. They don't fit their preconceived definition of what a person is. And all this stuff was happening, man. And I couldn't stand it. I wanted to stop it. I wanted to stop this ignorance. Because you see, I witnessed firsthand how ignorance could destroy a human being. My brother, he was a good person, but he was one without direction, without a way to define himself. And later in his young life, he became involved in the National Front, which is a neo-Nazi organization in England. You see, and he became more and more distant, and his reality became this rhetoric of hate and lies. And it just consumed him, man. We tried reaching out for him, but he wouldn't let us. And he just, the ideology was poisoning him. And then one day I walk into his room, and I've seen he's committed suicide with a swastika on his arm and a picture of Adolf fucking Hitler on the wall, man. Watched him while he died. And I saw Adolf Hitler there, and I saw hate, and I saw ignorance, and I saw how it killed my brother, man. And I wanted to stop that. I couldn't let that continue. You know, as human beings, we always want to destroy what we don't understand. That's part of what gave punk its notoriety. We're in the streets, and we're wearing different clothes, and our hair's different, and we're basically relinquishing all of what society has deemed important, material possessions. And the establishment would look at us, man. Establishment would look at us and think we're criminals or lunatics. Just because we're doing something a little bit differently than what their misguided definition of what society is. You know, ignorance just causes this division. And I wanted to stop this ignorance, man. I saw how it was tearing our world apart. The establishment wanted to sit there and being content about their lives, and I couldn't do that. And I wanted to say, no, I'm not going to let you do that. Because every day on the news, you turn it on and you see there's been another car bombing, another homicide, another murder. And then I really think these radicals and these criminals, these terrorists, do it a lot for the attention, man. They're always on TV, and the idiot newscasters are telling us this. Like, this is somehow the way it's supposed to be. This is the world, and you can't change it. No, I couldn't accept that, man. So this song I wrote, it's basically about these killers who are on TV. And it's about, you know, not accepting that that's our world, not accepting that we can't do anything about it. It's called Tommy Gun. I hope you enjoy it, but I don't really care if you do. So. You ain't happy unless you got one. Tommy gun. You're gonna shoot the place up just for fun. Maybe he wants to die for the money. Maybe he wants to kill for his country. Whatever he wants, he's gonna get it. Tommy gun. Dead. War is won. Tommy gun. But did you have to gun to everyone? I can see it's kill or be killed. A nation of judgment has gotta be fulfilled. Whatever you want, you're gonna get it. Down for a customs run. Tommy gun. Standing in Palestine, I know you. Whatever you